Hey everyone, welcome to the Identity Love Podcast, episode 24. I'm Tracy Konane. I am a life coach and identity specialist, and I help you to stop worrying so much about your partner and to start paying attention to yourself and loving yourself so that you can show up in a healthier, more loving, stronger way in your relationship. One thing I wanted to say before we get started is that I live in the middle of Hollywood, California. Right now they are setting up for the Oscars, which is tomorrow. And there is a lot of helicopter and siren activity going on at the moment. But just in case there is some rumbling in the background or some noises, that's what's going on. This podcast is about something that has come up several times. People have been asking me, clients are confused about this. It is the idea of how do you balance self-love and loving your partner? How do you strike a healthy balance between the two? Because essentially you are in two relationships, right? The one with yourself and the one with your partner. And what you are doing now when you're starting to move away from the partner pleasing and more into putting yourself first, you are learning how to be in a good relationship with yourself instead of neglecting it and abandoning yourself and pushing it under the rug. And something that usually happens when we realize how much we've been revolving our lives around someone else is that we start to kind of freak out and then go completely in the other direction, in the other extreme. We're just doing stuff for ourselves, trying to make up for lost time, trying to, in our minds, balance out all the unhealthy partner pleasing by doing all this stuff for ourselves. And then we feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing too much for myself now. I haven't even spent time with my partner. So we try to make up for that by swinging in the completely opposite direction again, and then only spending time with them, and our habits come back and we neglect ourselves, and then we try to make up for it again by going all in on ourselves. So how do we find a balance? And that is what I'm going to explain to you today, because it isn't what we might initially think. It isn't this scale that you try to balance where you say, okay, I did this much for someone else. Now I have to go make sure I do exactly the same amount for myself, or vice versa. Because that feels like it's scorekeeping. That feels like there's some kind of mathematical equation here that you have to keep solving for. And that sounds really exhausting and stressful and not like what you would want a relationship with yourself or someone else to feel like. So I'm going to explain a new way of thinking about this balance that will help you understand how to do this in your own life. So first off, when you are starting to practice the self-love and finding your identity and prioritizing yourself, you are balancing out two things, right? The first thing is the relationship dynamic with your partner. Your partner is used to you being a certain way, and you are going to need to allow some time and learning to communicate in a new way with them, to communicate and usher in a new way of being, to give your partner some time to adjust to this dynamic, to let them know what's going on. And this is what I cover in podcast episode 21, How Partners React. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the second aspect, which is your own dynamic, how to navigate your own ways of being, your own way of having a relationship with yourself that actually fits into a relationship with your partner in a healthy way. So that is what this is going to be about. It's about figuring out our own dynamic and how that affects and fits into the relationship. Because after a long time of everything being about them, we now have to figure out a new way of operating in our relationship. So the first thing I want to do is to talk about what balance actually is in this case. Because like I said, it isn't like this mathematical scale where you're trying to fine tune these weights, right? And trying to measure everything out. Instead of thinking of balance as an actual scale, I want you to think about balance as how it pertains to our physical health, like with eating food, because this is a good analogy for it. this is all about health, right? It's not that we want this perfect 50-50 balance. It's we want our relationships with ourselves and others to feel healthy, right? That's what we think of when we're saying balanced. So just like how when we eat too much salt or sugar, our insides, our bodies don't feel balanced. We feel like something's off. We feel sluggish or gross or something, right? Because we are putting too much of an extreme thing into ourselves versus if we are consciously, mindfully eating things that we know are a balanced diet for ourselves and our own bodies, we naturally just feel so much better, right? Because it is a balanced, natural, organic way of making ourselves feel healthy and feel good on the inside. So what we're trying to do here is about figuring out what is healthy for ourselves, what is working for ourselves, so that then organically, naturally, we are going to automatically know how we want to love somebody else, how we want to be around somebody else. It is about trusting that when we strike a balance for ourselves, for our own self-relationship, that it is naturally going to occur that we're going to show up in our relationships in a much more balanced and loving way. So it is less about the quantity of the time and the giving and the energy and the attention that you're giving to somebody else, and so much more about the quality of the love, the quality of the time and energy that you are getting to give during the moments where you feel like it is the right time to do it, that works for you. So often when we are starting to do this, we are focusing so much on all the less, how much less we're doing for them, how much less time we're spending with them, the less things we're doing, the less attention compared to all day, every day, all day long. And we start to think, oh no, I'm doing all this less stuff, so this isn't good. This isn't giving them love. But again, it's the quality over the quantity. We need to focus on how much more quality of the love that we're actually giving during the moments that we do spend time with someone else. Quality love comes naturally when we are being balanced with ourselves, when we are loving ourselves. It comes naturally from that. And so I know I talk about and show my morning routine a lot, but that is because it is the most recent milestone achievement that I have had in my own self-identity journey. It is something that I had worked really hard on. I felt like it was something that I hadn't been able to do properly or master in a way that I wanted to until fairly recently. So this is kind of a big deal for me, and it is one of the main focuses that I want to keep going and keep seeing the benefits of. So before, I felt like I couldn't start my day properly until my boyfriend woke up. If our schedules were off, it would really bother me. I'd think, oh no, when is he waking up? And so by the time that he actually did come out and see me, I was anxious and kind of trying not to act resentful. And I'm just thinking, well, what are your plans for the rest of the day? I need to know how we can make up for all this last time that we didn't spend together. I need to know how your day is going to go so I can structure my own day around you. And so if he didn't have an answer, or if he was kind of like, oh, I'm not sure yet, I would get a little passive aggressive. I would be a little bit resentful. I wouldn't be showing the kind of love, the kind of attention that I wanted to be showing to him, because I was so preoccupied with thinking that I couldn't do anything for myself until he woke up. Versus now, by the time he wakes up, I have already had the best nutrition I could possibly give myself for breakfast. I have already done something good for my body, so I'm vibing from that. My body feels good. I already did the tidying up in my own spaces and in the parts of the house that needed it. I was already taking care of my own chores, the unsavory things that are going to nag at me in the back of my mind. I might have done some journaling. I took care of all the things that I knew would make me feel good. And so by the time he comes out, there is zero resentment. I am in full swing of my day. I got a lot of things going on. I'm feeling good. I have momentum. And so I'm just greeting him feeling good and happy and whole. So I greet him with presence and love and being totally fine and good within myself. I give him that love in the moment, that quality love where it's just me giving love to him and not needing him to come and tell me all the things about what we're going to do together and me trying to get more time with him and me trying to get whatever from him. I just give him that love and it's high quality. And then I go back to my own stuff and I keep working on all these things that I know are going to make me feel good about myself. So at the end of the day, if we have an hour or something together, I'm all good. I took care of my own shit. I am present and there with him instead of trying to spend every waking moment with him while feeling shitty because I'm not doing the things that I know I should be taking care of, but I feel like that's not important because he comes first. Okay, so you might be thinking, oh, that's nice. That's easy to have your morning routine going when he's asleep and you have time to yourself. But what happens when you folks are on the same schedule? What if he wants to make some bacon and eggs and eat breakfast with you? What if he wants time with you in the morning? Then what? Well, the thing is, that has happened before. He has woken up before I expected him to, and he comes out when I'm in the middle of doing the yoga, and he tries to talk to me, or he asks if I want to eat breakfast with him. And I have lovingly told him that that isn't the way that it works. That there are things that I need to do for myself in a certain way in the morning, and that comes first. And so the reason why I am telling you this is because I want you to think about the things that are the primary self-care, self-love things that you need to be doing, the basic stuff to make you feel good and the way that you want to feel when you're in your relationship. Because these things are the non-negotiables. These are the things in which you put yourself first. Okay? So it might not be a morning routine. It might not be the way that I'm doing it, but you have to think, what can you do through your day that will make you feel so much better about yourself, about the way that you're living your life, the way that you're caring for yourself, the way you're thinking about yourself, the way you are doing life as yourself. Are you following your dreams? Are you journaling? Are you paying attention to the things that you say you want to be doing? Is it a dance class each week? Is it a certain thing that you want to work on for yourself for 15 minutes, for an hour every single day? Everybody is different, but there are things that we are unknowingly putting off that are very important to us. I didn't realize how important it was for me to do yoga and then sweep the floor for me to feel really good about how I started my day. I didn't realize that was so important until I started doing it and honoring it and doing it over again to show myself, look how much better you feel when you're doing it. For me to understand that this is a non-negotiable, that it makes me feel so much more confident and happy about being myself versus when I don't do it, that it is the most important thing now. So my boyfriend knows that no matter what, if we're traveling together, if he is up in the morning or not, I have a routine that he is not allowed to interrupt unless, of course, there is something dire going on. He needs to go to the hospital or we need to discuss something that's very important. He knows that that is my time for myself and my own self-care, sense of self and self-love. And so you have to set up these things for yourself as well, but you have to write them down and know them. You have to clearly know what they are, so you make sure that you are doing it and making sure that you are getting your half, so to speak, even though it's not keeping score, your half of what you need to be doing for yourself every day, instead of just coming to your partner on empty and feeling like you need them to do something for you. There are the basics that you need to do, and what are they? These basics are the primary, top-level care concerns that you have to protect, that you have to tell your partner, this is my self-love time, that you stick up for yourself for these things. Like I said, it might not be a morning routine. It could be the way that when you come home at night, you have to take care of yourself and wind down. Maybe it is going to see a certain friend every single week or month. Maybe it is spending a certain amount of time with your family. These things are the things that you know you have to do for yourself to feel good. And you have to do them, okay? So some other primary things that I have is that I need unbothered time when I need it. There are times when I need time to myself and I let him know, hey, this is a time when I do not want to be bothered. I'm going to take care of myself and I'm going to journal and do whatever. Please, I need this time for myself. And I communicate it in a loving way and he understands. Same with he knows that I want to go see my family once a year and go visit them. That I need to go spend time with certain friends, that I need to go and get my hair done for 5 hours. He knows that these things come first and the relationship wraps around it. Those are the primary things. And then there are secondary things. Secondary things are all the things that are not as important, but I do want to still fit in, such as going out and being in nature, doing something new, learning something new, arts and crafts time, taking day trips, exploring the world. There's all these things that I do not have to do every single day, but I still prioritize and I'm flexible about. So the secondary things are case by case things in which I decide if I want to prioritize them right now, if I want to put my partner first or not right now, if I want to prioritize this thing now or not. They are wild cards. I get to decide. And so maybe when your partner's busy, then you decide, okay, this is a good time for me to do this supplementary thing that I've been wanting to do. I'm going to go visit that person or go do this thing for myself. Notice that I don't try to do all my daily routine and all these supplementary things all in one day, all in one chunk, 1 week, right? Because that's when we're going too much to one extreme. I make sure that I take care of the most important primary things and then fit in the supplemental things whenever I can. And then I know that I am taking good care of myself. And when I am doing that, I am naturally more present for the relationship. I don't have to try to figure out, okay, how is this going to fit in? I mean, I do have to be thoughtful about it, which is what I'm going to touch on next. But it is a different dynamic where instead of constantly trying to figure out how the right way to be in it is, I already am doing it because I just fit it around these things. And so the key here to remember is that it is being thoughtful. What is healthy love? What is quality healthy love and balance with our partner? It is being thoughtful, right? It's not just going and defaulting to one particular way of being, which is what we are doing when we are either doing the extreme partner pleasing or the extreme self-love pleasing. We are not being thoughtful during that time because we're just knee-jerk reaction to one thing, which is please them at all costs, or it's all about pleasing myself now, right? We don't thoughtfully stop and consider each situation and decision that we make. So that's another thing, is to remember that in the beginning, there is going to be a lot of thoughtfulness and thinking and awareness around each thing that pops up. Remember that life is constantly ebbing and flowing. There is no set answer to every single situation that arises. In the past, I was the person who came home from work, and if my boyfriend wasn't at home, I would casually text him and say, hey, where are you at? And if he was out at a bar with friends or something, he might say, oh, I'm just at such and such bar. You're welcome to come down if you want to have a few drinks with us after work. And I wouldn't think. I would immediately go to my closet, put on something cute, and hurry as fast as I could down to the bar to meet up with him. There was no thoughts, no thinking going through my head. And so when I was starting to balance things out and the situation arose where I came home, he's not there, I text him, he invites me out, I had to make myself sit down, breathe, and then ask myself, hey, what do you really want here? How are you actually feeling? Do you want to go out right now and hang out with him? because you want to be around people, because you're feeling good inside, you're feeling social, you're feeling like you desire this thing from a soulful place, a healthy, balanced place? Or are you doing this thing because you feel like you have no other choice? Because you gotta do it to please him. You gotta do it because it is something that feels like anxiety within you. What do you actually want to do in this situation? Is this a special case? Is this a special event where you do want to be there? Maybe it is somebody's birthday that you care about and you want to go and run out and go to this thing. Or is it any other Tuesday night where there's nothing special and you actually just want to stay home and get sleep and be on your own schedule? Is he texting you and saying, oh my goodness, today was such a hard day. I am in such a rut right now. It would mean so much to me if you would come out and just hang out with me for a short amount of time. Is he saying that? Is this a special occasion that I want to make an effort for? Or is he just saying, hey, I'm hanging out with some friends. You're totally invited to come if you want, right? Where it's just like, maybe I don't need to make the effort. Maybe it's not that dire. Maybe there is room for me to ask myself if I want to do this or not. And so notice how much effort I'm putting in to questioning myself to see, does the situation call for me to go out there right now? Do I actually want to? Who would I be more proud to be when I wake up the next morning? Would it be somebody who went out there and did it, or somebody who stuck to her own schedules and preferences? What would it be? Do I actually do need company? Do I actually, deep inside for my soul, need the company? Or am I doing it out of neediness? Okay? So it is pausing and checking in to see who you would prefer and be more proud to be in the situation. And to know that it's okay if you don't go out for this situation, because there would be another situation next week, maybe, where you do want to. There's no right or wrong answer in general, but in each situation, there is an answer for yourself, and you have to think about it for each one, right? So when we're thinking, how do we balance out loving our partner and loving ourselves, is that we check in with each thing. Some days we're going to want to go and do the loving thing with our partner. And other days we're going to choose to love ourselves. And then you convey and communicate with your partner how you actually feel. Communicate with your partner, hey, I love that you invited me out, but I'm actually pretty tired and tonight I want to stay in, so please have fun. Heart, smiley face emoji, whatever. And so notice that when I am doing it that way, even though I am not necessarily going and physically giving him the love, I am giving him quality love. Love that is coming from me, that is honest, that is healthy because I'm listening to myself and I'm still conveying love towards my partner. I said, I love that you invited me out and all that, right? It's love. So we have to stop thinking that giving our partner love has to look a certain way. It has to be giving into them. It has to be spending time with them. We can be giving love while refusing to spend time with them. It is a weird thing to think about in the beginning when we're first starting to do this, because we're so used to equating loving our partners as pleasing them. But there's so many ways that we can show love. Think about each situation and think of it in terms of the quality of love that you want to give instead of the quantity. Think about it in the terms of the healthy balance versus trying to make sure everything is score kept and that you're giving tally marks for everything. A healthy relationship is a thoughtful one. And as you get used to this, as you start to get accustomed of thinking, what would be high quality love? What would feel more loving in this moment? What would feel more healthy in this moment? What would a healthy, loving version of myself do in this moment? When we get used to thinking like that, it gets easier and easier over time. So in the beginning, it is going to feel like you are figuring it out, like you're doing math equations in your head, but you're going to start to figure it out over time. It gets easier, I promise. Okay, so to summarize, in order to balance out loving your partner and loving yourself, you focus on the quality of love instead of the quantity of love. You focus on how thoughtful and healthy the love is versus if you are giving so-called enough love to your partner. And you know your non-negotiables and you take care of those and you feel good and free to care for yourself the way that you want. Your quality of love with your partner, your time that you do have with your partner is going to be so much more fulfilling and high quality and healthy and present and peaceful and all of those things. Okay? And I'm not saying that this is going to change everything in your relationship, but I'm saying it's going to change it for yourself. It's going to feel healthier for you. We can't control your partner, right? But this is about balancing it out for yourself. Balancing it out so it is healthy. You are bringing the healthiness in the relationship. And that changes how you react to everything else, how you love in this relationship. Everything changes. You get to decide how you communicate your needs and your self-love to your partner. You get to decide what you want to do for yourself, how you want to do it for yourself. You get to decide the dynamics of your relationship. Let go of any right or wrong way of how a balanced relationship is supposed to look like and find your own balance for yourself, for your own relationship. My boyfriend and I have a unique dynamic. Not every relationship is going to work that way, but we have figured it out for ourselves. And I have done a lot of work for myself to figure out how I fit my own self-love and care into the relationship and how I make the most of the time that I do have with my partner and show him that I love him from a much healthier place than in the past. Okay, so I really want you to think about how this works in your own life. I hope this gave you a new way to think about things. I hope this helped you to understand what it actually is to have a balanced relationship with yourself and your partner. And this is what I help my clients on. So if you want specialized, personalized help with this, this is what I do. I help you understand how exactly you're going to fit it into your own life in a way that makes sense for you, that makes you feel really good, that makes you feel healthy and loving and present in your relationship. So you bring the healthy vibes, you bring the presence, the high quality love in your relationship, no matter what's going on. All right, take care. Think about the things that give you a higher quality love for yourself and your partner, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.